Coming up on Virginia Currents, a real look at the real challenges faced by people released from prison when we visit the R.E.A.L House. Also, find out how this veteran breaks stereotypes and inspires others with her unique art during our visit with Alicia Dietz. And is your child being bullied? Learn more important information on bullying from Charles Johnson with the Office of Family and Community Engagement. Plus, the smooth and positive music of Anhayla, all next on Virginia Currents.
I was your fall, if I was your win.
Welcome to Virginia Currents. I'm Daphne Maxwell Reed. For people released from incarceration, their record, the lack of transportation and cell phones make it hard to get a job. And the overwhelming problem of addiction, the lack of housing and money, often draw them back to the environment and behaviors that got them into jail. To address the underlying issues of addiction and help people succeed when they get out of jail, Dr. Sarah Scarborough founded the R.E.A.L Life program. R.E.A.L stands for Recovering from Every Day Addictive Lives. It starts with behavior modification programs during incarceration. Those who qualify when released from jail go to the R.E.A.L House, the only house for recovery in the country directly linked to a justice center. In the summer of 2017, we visited the R.E.A.L House residents to get a real look at the challenges they conquer one day at a time.
I don't want to get high no more. I'm tired of being in trouble. It's going to end me dead somewhere, back in jail for a long time. Like, you get tired, you know how people get tired, they fall apart. That's how I'm broken down. You know, it's time for change, man.
I've been incarcerated over 25 times, nothing more than a year.
I've been in and out of jail since I was 16, you know, juvenile, and it's not right. Every time you turn around, I'm in jail. I'm 30.
I'm a young 48. When I first started getting locked up, you know, I used to call the older guys Unc and Pops and stuff like that. And on this time, I was being called Unc, you know, and stuff like that. So I say to myself, I know this got to be it for me. It's about time for me to stop grazing these walls. You know, I can't do it no more. Can't do it.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Caged in with so many different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can go to bed hungry, you know what I mean? Because the last meal of the day is at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So from 4 o'clock until 5 a.m. the next morning, if you don't have commissary, you out back. I mean, you just got to deal with it. Drink plenty of water and walk slow, as they say.
It's hard out there coming up without your parents. I ain't had my parents. My mom was in the penitentiary a nice bit of time in my life too. I never met my dad, so I'm not trying to be that person. Like I want to be there for my kids. You know, it's just been kind of rough the last 3 years. It's just been real rough. Doing things I ain't had no business doing. Letting the streets make decisions for me. You know, not thinking for myself. Letting the streets think for me. Just got caught up. You know what I mean? Got caught up, and it was hard for me to pull back because I was so far into what I was doing. I was so focused into what I was doing. I felt like the world was against me. My family turned their back on me. That's how I felt, but it wasn't like that. That's just my mind. The stuff that I was into had me thinking crazy, so it led me back in jail again.
My mother didn't born a drug dealer or a dope fiend. You know, she wanted me to live a normal, healthy, productive life. May she rest in peace. And I feel obligated, and I know that it's in me to do the right things for which God intended me to do. And that is my mission in life now. I can't make up for what I did in the past, but I can rest assured I can do what needs to be done for a brighter future. And that's what motivates me today. It's nothing that I'm playing with anymore. My way wasn't working because I always had this bright idea that I can sell drugs again as long as I don't use them. I read the newspaper and a a real close female friend of mine, you know, she was discovered at a hotel, shot up, and she was dead. It was a compound of series of events that made me say enough is enough. Having your peers and loved ones, you know, being killed at random like that and you still here, you know, obviously God has a purpose for me.
I got 7 kids. What they seen me do, it's not right at all. So by me changing my life and you know, trying to stay focused and positive is a big plus in my life and their life, because at the end of the day, I don't want them to walk my same shoes. This is like the best thing that could ever happen to me right now, because if I was released to the free world, ain't no telling what I'd be doing right now, because you know, out there in the free world, temptation is crazy. So, I mean, I thank God for the R.E.A.L program. Like, it might have saved my life. I think it's, you know, it might have saved my life.
In this day and time, it's most important for society itself to realize that addiction is an illness and it's not a crime.
Well, 78% of the people that are incarcerated in the city of Richmond battle addiction to a substance. So really, by putting them in jail, it's just a short-term stop of them using the drugs or alcohol. But then as we as a society just put them back out on the street to the same people, places, and things where they were before, and we're really getting the same outcome if we don't provide programming.
Another day, washing clothes.
And so having a place that is safe, that is clean, that is, you know, has no drugs or alcohol in it, and providing that opportunity for them is really incredible, because we really have a great group of guys that live here. And so being able to give them this foundation to really springboard off of for their future, it's really a huge blessing. With oversight from myself and other folks, they run this house just as how, you know, you and I might run our houses. In addition, they are required to have a job within about a month of getting out, and so that they can get that daily structure and responsibility. And we do help them find jobs. And you're going to be the only one not in jeans, but that's going to be good. That's going to set you leaps and bounds apart from anybody else.
When you go to a restaurant, they like you to have black and whites on, right?
They are accepting responsibility. They are doing things where they have never dreamed of before. They have met people, even in law enforcement, such as myself, that really and truly cares and are continuously involved with them. So there's this trust factor. Don't go down there. They feel better about themselves because of how they have learned to resolve issues. Now you want to keep yourself straight, and then you're going to keep them straight. And you have to do it one day at a time. They're not only just doing things within the house for themselves, but they make sure the community is clean, they speak to people.
Sometimes it's off and on, you know. I've been to different programs, but never one like this. It's more guidance.
You know, Sarah, she hit me up almost every day with a new job link because of my experience.
All right, so where's your
So
stuff?
by the grace of God, I got somebody like that in my corner right now.
You really, really, really need to use those budget sheets that Greta gave you. The lowest that you would make, put that down, and anything extra goes into savings. All right?
Man,
You know, by me going through the program, you know, I realized that it was my thinking that was really holding me back, you know. When you're out there in the street using drugs and selling drugs, you just get caught up in that lifestyle. You know, because it's like a demon. You know, because I was raised up in church. I come from a really, really good family. You know, really good childhood, you know. Started hanging with the wrong crowd because I wanted to be like the, you know, the in crowd, and I got caught up. You know, it was good at first, you know, you got the money, you got the girls, you got the clothes, the cars, you know, and you think you're the man, and you just get trapped. And I've never really made a whole lot of money. It just was selling drugs to get more drugs, to get high, stay high all day till I fall out. You know what I'm saying? And it's a demon. You know, it's a spiritual demon. You're losing 5 years here, 10 years here, and before you know it, you done lost 20 years. And you say, what happened? And now you're like stuck, so, oh man, I got to go out here and make me some money. I'm behind now. I'm gonna give it one more shot. And then bam, the man give you 5, 10 years.
Ever since I've been sober, I feel like I got more to say. Like, you know what I'm saying?
You feel it's real?
Yeah.
What it is right now is being patient. You know, only time will tell. It's gonna get better. It can't do nothing but get better. If you stay focused, it can't do nothing but get better. Staying clean, you know, being around good people. You know what I mean?
I started a t-shirt company like 3 weeks ago through my friend.
It can be inspirational to see how so many people have been delivered from the grips of addiction and are actually prospering in life now.
And ever since I moved here, first job I ever had, 35 from the program. First time ever being clean since I've been 13 from the program. First time, it's like this is my first time, it's like I'm a baby all over again. Everything, the first time starting the program. Like, I would have never imagined. I know I still would be getting high if it weren't for the program. One for Sarah giving me a chance, and she known me less time than she known everybody else, and she still gave me a chance.
At the age of 15, I had hopes and dreams. Now fighting for my life, I gotta stay clean. Too much of anything develops a habit. Too much of anything makes you an addict. ADDICT. All drugs do is cause trouble, man. Addiction got you hostage. You gotta break free.
I never would have made it without you. I could have lost it all, but now I'm free. Someone's taking care of me, yeah. That's all I got.
We can try as hard as we want, give as much as we want, but if they don't want change, nothing's gonna happen. And so, you know, this is really just giving them a tool, and then it's on them to go from there. So to just be there and witness that and see people change, see dads reunite with their children and their grandkids and be a part, there's not a better feeling.
Recently, the Real Life Community Center opened to address the needs of people in the community who want to overcome addiction and sustain sobriety. To find out more, visit reallifeprogram.org. For former U.S. Army Black Hawk pilot Alicia Dietz, transitioning to civilian life wasn't as easy as she expected. After seeking advice from a community of veterans and other supportive men and women, Alicia pursued her passion for woodworking. Alicia teaches and mentors kids and adults because she says it helps her to shift stereotypes and empowers them to harness their inner creativity. Alicia enjoys creating many different types of art, whether it be a flag made of donated military uniforms or a custom handmade fireplace. She even produces large-scale art for restaurants like ZZQ in Richmond or the Mellow Mushroom in Midlothian. We catch up with Alicia hard at work in her studio.
In my transition from military to civilian life, I was trying to find my new identity and who I was. Maybe that's why I'm attracted to wood so much. This tree is no longer this large living thing looming in the sky. It's now become something else. And so what is its new identity? And I really enjoy taking the time to pay attention to those little details. I remember when I was 6, 7 years old, I would go to the hospital that my mom worked at, and I would see the helicopters landing, and I knew then that I wanted to fly. And so when I got into high school, I started calling around to medevac pilots and asking them how they learned how to fly, and 9 out of 10 of them would say the military. So I said, okay, then that's how I'm gonna learn how to fly. I'll join the military. My artwork is a combination of a lot of different things. Conceptual artwork in one way that talks about my military experience, and another part of it is the custom furniture, making pieces for specific people's interests and specific places and environments, then also incorporating mixed media. One of the things I absolutely love doing is to carve. When I'm hand carving, the only sound that you hear is the sound of the metal against the wood. You're like in this dance. So it's this really calm and peaceful place to be. The other thing that has happened on sort of the flip side of the coin, I was standing in the studio the one day and the table saw was winding down, and that sound, I was for a moment not in my studio anymore. I was sitting in the cockpit of a helicopter and the rotor blades were winding down, and that sound like instantly took me to a different place. I made a larger piece called Reintegration Conveyance. It's a floor and chair piece about military experience and how everyday sounds can take you to a different place. It's really an invitation to let you get inside my head for a moment and hear those sounds. I feel very fortunate that the experiences that I had in the military were vastly positive. And I know people that haven't had such a fortunate experience. And so one of the things I try to do with my work is just help open the conversation with me or with other veterans about their experience. Conversation and dialogue and open communication just in the world today in general is just so important. We're used to seeing things on a little blip on a tweet, and we want to take things in these like short little segments, but really to dig deeper and get into a conversation with someone is so valuable for both parties. The thing that I struggled with was my transition between military and civilian life. I really struggled to figure out what my task and my purpose was. In the Army, I woke up every day and I had a mission. But in civilian world, when I woke up, I was like, what am I supposed to do today? Who am I supposed to take care of? One of my favorite things I get to do each year is work with a program at the Visual Arts Center called the Make Space program. And it's 5th grade girls, and they have a female mentor for the whole school year. And they get to make different things, whether it's sewing or painting or photography. And one of the things they get to do is come into the wood shop. So I come in and we make lap desks. And to see these girls come in and they're intimidated by the machines and they don't quite know what to do, but even just after a night with them, they feel this sense of empowerment that they can make something out of wood. They can use tools that they didn't even know the names of before. I've always been in a male-dominated field, in both woodworking and in being a pilot, to fly this massive piece of machinery. A little movement is what's controlling this large aircraft, and so it's actually a gentle touch that you need. And in woodworking, it's the ability to take a step back and really look at a detail or think through an issue before making a cut. And those are characteristics that a lot of women have. We belong in a lot of places. And so I love seeing women in the wood shop. I've been surrounded in my life by both men and women who have always been encouraging of me going to do what I want to do. And so I like to pass that on to anyone when I can, especially women. I don't know what the next 5 years will bring either. I'm just in here making sawdust every day and seeing what comes next.
To find out more about Alicia's work, go to aliciadeetstudios.com, where you'll see a piece inspired by her fallen brothers and sisters in arms in Iraq and Afghanistan.
This is the fallen soldier piece that I started a couple years ago. It unfortunately is a living piece, and currently it contains the 6,920 service members that were killed in Iraq and Afghanistan. Each time that another service member is killed, I add his or her name. So this was a really important piece for me, just to acknowledge all those that have given their lives in our current war.
Welcome to Daphne's Corner. National statistics show 28% of students in 6th through 12th grades have been bullied, and only 20 to 30% of those bullied report it to an adult. Increased awareness and involvement have helped bring the rate of bullying down, but it's still too prevalent. To help us better understand bullying is Chuck Johnson, a senior specialist in the Office of Family and Community Engagement, which serves Richmond Public Schools. Welcome, Chuck.
Thank you.
Could you define bullying for me, please?
Yes, bullying is defined as those intentional hurtful behaviors where there's really a perceived imbalance of power and the student or the person is afraid. And that's very different from conflict, which is a disagreement between two or more persons.
And what is cyberbullying?
Cyberbullying has more to do with social media. The trend now is through Facebook, Twitter, and texting. Many of our young people are sending messages that are hurtful, that are negative and very harmful. And what parents need to know is that when they're talking with their young people about cyberbullying, that they share with them that once the send button is touched, then Richmond Police Department is able to see that. And so that's very much a part of the education process too. Young people don't believe that when they send those messages that it can be seen by someone else.
Are there serious side effects with bullying?
Yes, there are. The impact of bullying oftentimes causes young people to be fearful of coming to school, young people to be fearful of engaging with others in school. One of the things that we oftentimes see is poor relationships and socialization with the target of the person that's being bullied and those kinds of things.
Now, some parents, I know, you at home, they say, well, if somebody's bullying you, fight back. What do you think about that?
I think the message and the perceived message is that's something that has to be physical. One of the things that we facilitate in our classes is to use your words. For example, I'm very big on diffusing the situation. And to give you an example, if there's a student who's coming at someone and sharing with that student very negative conversation about how the person is looking, what the person has on, to do just the opposite. We call that diffusing the situation. Just say something nice when the other person is saying all those aggressive. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it's a class that we facilitate, and we try to educate young people to make better choices and decisions.
How can parents know that their child is being bullied if the child doesn't tell them?
Yeah. One of the things that happens are some of the signs. Some of the signs are attitude changes, how the young person feels when they come home. Is mom seeing avoidance? Does he or she not want to be involved with family activities and those kinds of things? So the signs are there. Mm-hmm. And when the signs are there, we want parents to not only recognize the signs, but give schools a call so that they can be addressed.
Oh, now the students who are in school with those who are being bullied, is there anything that they can do as bystanders if they see bullying happening?
Yeah, one of the things is that we facilitate in our education piece are the roles students play in bullying. And there are about 8 roles. And one of the things that we try to do is we make sure that we not only start with the person that is the person that's actually doing the bullying, but help parents to see the looking glass self, where parents see not only the child that's the bully, but the follower, the disengaged onlooker, the passive aggressive person, and those kinds of things. And what we hope to do is move that pendulum with those folk who like bullying over to this side where they dislike bullying. And that's part of the education process as well.
And has your office seen a shift toward less bullying than formerly?
I think one of the things that officers share, with us on a regular basis, is that they're seeing more conflict than they are bullying. So if we're beginning to see a decrease, then that's one of the things that happened. But the important thing is to be able to distinguish between the two, because the practices and the strategies for conflict are not the same for bullying.
Oh, we'll have to get into that at another time. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining us, Chuck.
Thank you.
And to find out more about bullying and conflict resolution for children, go to rvaschools.net.
Ugly means you gotta love yourself.
This week's Spotlight on Virginia Music shines on Anhayla. This rising star has gained huge attention on YouTube, music streaming sites, and has appeared in an AT&T commercial and performs across the U.S., including Carnegie Hall. She comes from a talented musical family featured in a past Virginia Currents episode. Anhayla believes music can heal, inspire, and transform people. She allows herself to become vulnerable enough to say to her listeners, "I've been there, and it will get easier." And now, here is a clip of her music video, "If I Was." Thanks for watching Virginia Currents. Join us next time for more inspiring stories. I'm Daphne Maxwell Reid.
I think I love you. I said it. You. I said it. You. I said it. I think I love. If I was your teacher, if I was your notebook, if I was your pen, I would give you an A. If I was your cell phone, if I was your minutes, if I was your bill, you would never have to pay. If I was your college, if I was your knowledge, if I was your loan, I would be your degree. If I was your ticket, if I was your suitcase, if I was your plane, your destination would be me.